Welcome to EntreProgrammers Podcast, the podcast for developreneurs, the podcast where you get to be a fly on the wall listening to real conversations of three developers trying to tackle the challenges they face as entrepreneurs.
Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here. Just want to take a second to thank one of the sponsors for this episode of EntreProgrammers, DigitalOcean. So I've talked about DigitalOcean a lot before on the show, and that's because they're just such an awesome company. I use them to host all of my websites, basically simpleprogrammer.com, which gets around 200,000 page views a month, runs on there, super smooth. Get Up and Code runs on there. The EntreProgrammers podcast that you're listening to right now, we use DigitalOcean for that. I use it for just about everything, and it's such a good deal. You know, as far as hosting goes, right, if you're going to run your own Linux server and do your own web hosting at $5 a month, which is the starting plan for DigitalOcean, you just really can't beat that. It's crazy. And when you do need something super powerful, DigitalOcean comes through for you as well, and it's so easy to scale up to that. I started out on Simple Programmer with a $10 a month box, and I was even able with that to get 100,000 page views a month without much of a problem. But when I wanted to scale up, all I had to do was bring the server down, expand the size, go up to the higher size droplet, and bam, I was up there, and I've expanded it a couple of times since then. So DigitalOcean, definitely awesome company. I would definitely recommend that you check it out if you have any idea of creating a website online, or you want to have your own Linux server to be able to do whatever it is that you want to do, some development or put out a production app. There's a ton of great things that you can do with DigitalOcean. Go to digitalocean.com and use the code EntreProgrammers to get a $10 credit. So digitalocean.com, EntreProgrammers is your code, and you get $10 credit, good for basically 2 months at a $5 box, so you can check it out. And we are live.
Yay!
Right.
Technology.
So Josh wants to talk about how that he's so upset with Apple. Josh doesn't like change. I've discovered that. Josh does not like change. He's always like
change.
He's lamenting, like he's like,
pain.
Well, okay.
don't change email. Don't change
Here's the thing, though. Okay, it takes so much. It's so hard to find something that works, and everybody just wants, like, as soon as we get something that works, everybody just wants to throw it overboard, and that just drives me absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Well, wires are stupid, right?
Okay. All right. Well, I agree with you. When someone gives me a wireless headset that works, I will be ready to say yes. Go ahead and get rid of. Go ahead and get rid of wired headphones. I have spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on Bluetooth headsets, and I have not been able to find one that works.
Here's the deal, though. Here's the deal, Josh. I get what you're saying, but someone will not. It won't work. It doesn't work that way. It works the other way. When Apple removes the headphone jack, then someone will. Then they'll be forced to. It's necessity is the father of invention, not invention. It's not like, you know what I mean, like, you know, the light bulb, you know, the incandescent light bulb came along because it was
Thomas
dark.
Edison did not go. Thomas Edison did not go, okay, everyone, we're getting rid of all the whale blubber. No more whale blubber, and we're going to have to figure this out now. No,
that's essentially what happened, though. I mean, the essentially, like, the whaling, you know, industry started to, like, they over-farmed it, right? And there wasn't whale blubber.
People were using kerosene. This doesn't there's not like some big company just arbitrarily getting rid of something that works is not how technical innovation happens.
That's how Apple forces.
Well then why doesn't Google get rid of just turn off search engine? It's the search engine.
Apple has a history of doing this, right? Like I'm not a big Apple, you know, fan. I don't like their political philosophy, but I will tell you that Apple got rid of the CD-ROM, the DVD drive.
Yeah, but we had there were acceptable replacements for it.
No. I mean, people weren't doing it, though. It was like, damn it, why the hell are you still burning things onto DVD when I buy software? Like, let me download it or put it on a USB drive. And then once Apple did that, then people generally did that, except that I still had to buy an external DVD.
Yeah, I have one too.
For the old stuff. But at least you're not carrying it around. But everyone stopped putting it.
Cost me more money.
All the computer manufacturers stopped doing that, and people actually started adapting to the right? I mean, you got to force technology forward by making it suck first.
All right, John, we're just getting rid of the screen. No more screens. All right.
Yeah.
That will force the the neural implants that we all know are coming, or the virtual,
the HoloLens.
The heads up display. Oh yeah, I mean just get rid of it now. Why wait?
Yeah. Well,
okay, so there's basically three options here. So Apple can either ship. So Apple's either going to ship like the iPhone 7 is going to come with a Lightning equipped headset, or they're going to come up with a really awesome Bluetooth headset that just works and is amazing.
Yes.
Or they're going to ship the current headsets with an adapter, which is like making the whole thing Which option do you think they're going to go with? My bet is on 3. That they're going to ship the stupid existing headset with the mini jack and the adapter. So you've got to have this big honking thing hanging off your phone.
It's going to be option 4.
Okay.
And option 4 is they will ship a piece of crap Bluetooth headset with the phone. and they will say, no, you're not getting an adapter. Why would we do that?
I don't know. I hate wires. Wires are dumb.
I
do too.
I take that back. They are going to build an adapter, and they're going to charge you $20 for it.
Oh, it'll be more than that, because they have to with the Lightning. Apparently, with the Lightning cable, there has to be, forget the term for it, but there has to be some kind of amplification that goes into the adapter. It's not like it's actually going to drain power. Just to process the signal for you. So it'll be like this big honking thing hanging off your phone that's going to break, right? It'll break off in your pocket and leave the little tab stuck in the bottom of your phone, which means you'll have to get a new phone, so it works well for Apple.
Yes.
I don't know. I've been using wireless headphones for a long time.
Since the man wearing wired headphones.
Well, I'm on a PC now. I'm not on iPhone. If my iPhone would be wireless. But
I did find this headset here is not bad. The sound is absolutely terrible from it, but this little button actually does play and stop my Audible books, and the battery lasts. And this is only $20. This is decent, except that when I pause and start my Audible books, I have to press the button straight into my eardrum, so I hear ka-chunk,
nice.
Ka-chunk. My ear rings afterwards, but other than that, it's fine.
Yeah, well.
Other than permanent ear damage.
Yeah, I know.
Loss.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's just a matter of
apparently
time.
their Bluetooth 5, I think, is going to come out soon, and that they're saying will extend the range, and hopefully, if they could just make it so that they didn't drop. This one does not drop for me, but most of the ones that I've tried drop the signal frequently. So. Fix that problem, and they can make one that actually.
I want Apple to fix AirDrop before they fix anything else. AirDrop is the biggest garbage Bluetooth Wi-Fi combination thing that Apple has ever released, and they literally refuse to admit that it doesn't work, in spite of hundreds of thousands of people complaining about it every single day.
I think the Thrive people take their customer support cues from Apple, like in the whole like.
Although they have, Thrive has been responding at least to say, okay, we'll record this and put it in our feature list.
Yes.
Apple is just like, no, that doesn't exist. No, you're wrong.
Yeah.
We're Apple, you're wrong.
This is the frustration of Apple.
Your experience is invalid because we're Apple and we said so.
You search for a problem, right? You Google, you're like, oh, my iPhone headset stopped working, or like Bluetooth keyboard not working, or like Phantom Touches on iPad, or whatever, right? Whatever it is, right? You search for it, immediately the first hit is Apple Forums, right?
Right.
Where it says that this is not an issue. Then the first post on there is, you're a freaking idiot. The Apple stuff worked perfectly. It's like some super fanboy just denying your experience completely. And then the next thread down below is someone giving you the most basic steps that are right there in the instruction manual that you obviously already tried. Like just like as if you were a dumb ass, like your IQ is 50.
giving you the steps that obviously doesn't work. And then there's 15 people saying, "Oh yeah, I tried those steps. They worked perfectly. Thanks, man."
Yeah, well, then there's one guy. Then
And
there's
then
always the guy at the.
angry people that are like,
Yeah.
"This is a real thing, guys."
But there's also the guy who like tells you that you've installed unsupported. You've made unsupported system modifications by installing a piece of software.
Yes, from the App Store.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then you
Although
call up Apple, and they're like, "Oh, no, we haven't had 500,000 people report that."
No.
Oh, really? I saw it on TechCrunch. Like there was like this thread on TechCrunch, and they're like 500 comments below. No, I'm not aware of that. That's interesting. That's strange. Yeah,
Well, no,
you know,
I'm actually not allowed to be on the internet, so I don't know anything about that.
But here's what I can do for you. What time would work good for you on Sunday to come into the Apple Store to go to the Genius Bar? So
3 hours away.
A 9-year-old kid can tell you how stupid you are while denying the problem.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
What time would work for that? How about 2 a.m.? We're not actually open then, but that's the only time slot we have available.
Yes.
Okay, all that said, I do have to say I bought an Apple Magic Trackpad 2.
Okay.
I didn't want the second version, but that's all they had at Best Buy. And in spite of the just frickin' want to punch somebody in the face price tag, this thing is pretty damn nice. I had the old Magic Trackpad, the one with the round back on it, and there were at least 3 things that I absolutely hated about that old Magic Trackpad. I was really honestly nervous about this one with the force feedback stuff that they do, but it is like, I mean, it's legit. It is. You click down on this thing, and when I have it turned off, there's no like physical click anywhere in here. But when I turn the thing on, I don't know if you can. I don't think you can hear this through the mic, but the force feedback, there actually is a tiny amount of flex and give in the mass on top of this thing, and with that force feedback, that tiny little vibration that they have in there, and it absolutely feels like a real physical click. Yep. Plus, having an actual on-off button instead of that one button to do everything poorly and never work correctly like the old one. Plus, it's rechargeable batteries instead of the old magic battery eater that I used to have.
So do you actually use that instead of a mouse?
Yeah, I can't stand having a mouse on my Mac because I want the natural scroll, I want the gestures, I want the multi-touch. I don't like a mouse with my Mac. I've been using a touchpad on the laptop itself, but also the Magic Touchpad externally, basically since they started supporting multi-touch.
We need to start a new show.
Yeah, the tech reviews.
Yeah.
I find I've been tempted by it, but I find that like for me the mouse is just so much easier when I'm like most of what I do when I want to be connected is like selecting and copy and paste and all that stuff. And
there
that's
are things like selection, copy and paste, drawing simple lines that are a million times easier with the mouse. But those are minor annoyances for me compared to what I feel are advantages of the trackpad. But geez, this thing was $130.
Wow.
I grabbed it off the shelf and walked up to the counter, not even paying attention to the price tag, and it rang up at $130.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, John. Just on the whole Bluetooth thing too. I have the wired USB Apple keyboard here. I tried the Bluetooth one because it was so nice, but it just sucked. So same with the Bluetooth mouse. It sucked too.
Well, Bluetooth definitely doesn't work on computers. We know that. But anyway, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's get off the Apple topic.
Right.
We should do a tech show, though. That'd be fun, just like all it, because we always have gadgets and reviews.
Totally. You thought about doing a YouTube video to review this in comparison to the old one?
Yeah. But so let's see. So what is new in the? So the The Patreon was a success.
Yes.
Nice.
We ended up like almost we're at like 1,500 something.
Very
Yeah, I
nice.
think
Pledges.
1560 was the last I checked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to say, I was deeply skeptical of this whole thing, and it has. Oh, 1585. There we go. Yep. Yeah, I was deeply skeptical of this whole thing, and it was
Yeah.
definitely a good move.
Nice.
John, this was John's call totally, and it was the right call for sure.
You know, I'm pretty sure at one point John told me that Patreon was terrible and I shouldn't do it. So
We didn't want you to steal our thunder, man.
Exactly.
that's a terrible
Well, yeah.
idea. Derek, hold on, let me write this down. Jeez, what are you thinking? All right, let's take notes real quick.
I have no problem contradicting myself.
No, totally. The idea that you have to be 100% consistent with yourself all the time is ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's actually a psychological something or other about that study or term or whatever it is where you as a human being expect other people to be consistent with what they do and say, but you never hold yourself to that same standard.
Here, I've got a quote for you, actually. This is funny. So, Ralph Waldo Emerson, a foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, adored by little statesmen and philosophers and divines. With consistency, a great soul has simply nothing to do. He may as well concern himself with the shadow on the wall. Speak what you think now in hard words, and tomorrow speak what tomorrow thinks in hard words again. Though it contradict everything you said today, so you shall be sure to be misunderstood. Is it so bad then to be misunderstood? Pythagoras was misunderstood, and Socrates and Jesus and Luther and Copernicus and Galileo and Newton and every pure and wise spirit that ever took flesh. To be great is to be misunderstood. So,
Perfect.
I live by that. Here you go. Rest my case. But no, I think it also matters too on Patreon. Like, you got to have enough. It's like Kickstarter. You have to have enough momentum. If you don't, I mean, there's some. I just watched a couple of YouTubers who subscribe to my channel. I don't want to knock them because they're awesome, but they followed suit and started up Patreon campaigns because they saw that I had a successful Patreon campaign, which makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. But I think both of them have 0 pledges.
Yeah.
So it's like. You got to make sure that you got to be able to succeed, otherwise you can't. It's the same thing with Kickstarter. It's like that Adrian was saying. He was like, you got to be able to like blow past the goal.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, and we pushed hard with it with our email list, and we're gonna break 30,000 email subscribers this weekend.
Nice.
So John, when we started working together, you were at like 16 or 18,000, I think.
I think so, yeah.
We're adding like more than around 2 to 3 or more thousand per month at this point. So.
Yep. It's looking good. And then we've got the Facebook group going, and that is going pretty strong. We've got like 173 members in there right now. A bunch of people Facebook group is so friggin' buggy.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, I'm trying to invite people, and they don't not get the email. So there's still like maybe like another 10 or 15 people that we need to get in there. But it's been going good. Like, a lot of people, tons of threads, lots of intro threads and stuff going. So I think that will work out really well. It'll be a pretty good interactive community. And it's also, I was thinking about, like, the Facebook group is actually kind of really good for us, besides just having something to offer for the Patreon, but it's also like it's the most engaged people, so we can utilize this to ask questions. We can utilize this to get people to do stuff to help. So, for example, I just put a post last night, and I was like, "Oh, that ultimate list of developer podcasts. Let me ask if someone wants to take ownership of that in the Facebook group, because that's a good place to find the people that if they want to get involved with Simple Programmers. So we can kind of get someone to do that for us that cares about podcasts and would maintain that page. There's probably a lot of different things we could do from that. So
yeah. Yep, that actually could be pretty cool, because we could give them a shout out on the page. So they could get a link and some traffic out of it, and it would be better because it would be curated by one person.
Exactly. Yeah, and they could just continue to maintain that.
Yeah.
Make it better.
We'll have to put it up on GitHub, and people can submit pull requests. I think we should just open source all of Simple Programmer. You want to post a video in the Simple Programmer channel? Just send us a pull request.
There we go. And then I've got the Simple Programmer. I don't think Derek's seen this.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
I have it.
Oh, great! We'll get to hear our first negative reaction live on the air.
I think how to.
What?
Okay, let me save this. Or what's the best way to?
Yeah, we're looking forward to the outcry.
Wait, is that a poop emoji?
Let me see. I'm trying to think of the best way to
just. Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll just screenshot.
Email it. Yeah, screenshot it and email it to Derick. Yeah. So I was telling John this week that I was involved. When I worked at my first job was I worked at a college, my alma mater, and I worked in the PR department, and we were doing a rebranding at the time, so I had to be the logo czar.
Yeah.
So we had the old logo was, we had a building called Old Main, which every college, I think every university in the country has an Old Main, and they all have a steeple. They all have a steeple on them, and every college logo basically is like that steeple usually. That's pretty typical. So that's what we had, and when we switched out with the new logo, which was more modern, we had professors like hoarding stationery and refusing to use the old logo. Like there was this black market of trade in stationery for envelopes and note cards and everything with the old logo on it because everybody hated the new one so much. People get so emotional about it.
Yes.
All right, I emailed it to you, Derick.
All right.
Everyone on the podcast is like, I want to see the new logo.
Oh, super secret.
You know what? I think what I could do on the video is show my screen or something. Can I do that?
Yeah, you can do screen share.
So let me see.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, but now I don't feel so special. No.
Well, you get to see it first.
Wait, don't start it yet. I'm just going to look. Oh, it's terrible. No, actually, I really like that. Oh, you know what this looks like? This looks like Breaking Bad.
Yeah. A little bit.
I expect you to show up wearing a fedora with your head shaved next time.
All right, so this is the basic.
No, that's really good. I like that. It fits your whole simple idea.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a very simple logo. That's really good. I like that.
Show them the runner-up.
Let me see. Oh yeah, there was
one other one that was. So that one's the square one. We had one that was more of a rounded. John, the X should be over.
Hold on, I'm checking John's Google Chrome tabs to see if there's any shady sites up in there real quick.
So
that's pretty good.
I have to practice what I preach. So that one I like that one too. I feel like it's more sporty,
more technical, more sporty.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. But the other one is just like simple and elegant. You know.
Yeah.
We had some variations of where's the
that one. I liked that one, but that was kind of like it was very different.
Yeah.
It was too different. We felt like I liked it. Just
that would have been
isolation.
Like a company product.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would change the colors of the lines based on the product that it was.
Yeah.
Like a product suite, I guess.
I don't know what happened to the other kind of like. He had a few more images of that one that we liked, but I guess he took them down or something. But anyway, yeah, this is the winner. And the nice thing about it too is it's just so easy to. One of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted it to be not too much of a departure from the existing logo. And
right.
I mean this is but it's still got the SP and the orange and it's like a very simplified version. But I also really wanted it to be printable on t-shirts and not necessarily t-shirts, but on merchandise and stuff. And the existing logo just is not. It's really hard to. It's got the little things hanging off and stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, I like the existing logo, but I felt like it's time for a refresh. So this is going to be a bit of a pain in the in the ass trying to like get this, because now we're going to have to update all kinds of stuff, but it's like you got to bite the bullet now, I think, before it gets too crazy, because I want to. The Patreon thing kind of sparked this, because with Patreon I was like, I promised that I would give out shirts, or simple programmer shirts to, like, if you were, I think is above the $50 mark, so there's a few of them, and I didn't want to print. I've tried to print shirts with the current simple programmer logo, and it doesn't look good.
Right.
So
yeah. One thing to note about this too is that John is spent a lot of time on this, relatively speaking, but he's had a business for 6 years.
Yeah.
Most people, this is the very first thing they do, right?
Right.
It's like
yeah.
the logo and the business cards, and you spend 2 weeks on it, and then and $1,000 on it, and then you never get the thing off the ground. So.
Right.
Yeah, and you don't know. I mean, now at this point we can go back and look at the business, and we can see, like, we have actual considerations for the logo that makes sense, based on how the business is and the image we want to portray, and things like that. So yeah. So, and it's funny because at this point, like, it's like, I think they're also supposed to design Facebook and Twitter and YouTube covers. I'm actually working with a designer on that because he's like dropping the ball on that part. But I think it's like $700, but it seems cheap at this, like,
yeah.
When you're starting out, it seems like, oh, holy crap, that much for a logo. But at this point, it's like, oh, that's nothing. That's like, that's half. So, considering how much what we're going to use it for and stuff. So I'm excited.
I think your mic is continuously bumping up against something.
Yeah.
Hearing this do.
Oh.
Yes, it is. It is.
And I see your mic wiggling back and forth.
We've had this conversation. I don't know why John's mic. Can you guys hear anything when I do this?
No.
No, I don't know why, John. There's something up with your mic stand because I have the same one.
Do you have your mic directly mounted to the same desk as everything else, John?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a standing desk.
That's why.
So do I, though. Mine. I drilled a hole in mine. Mine's mounted in a hole.
Okay.
On the desk, and like, can you hear anything when I do this?
Nope.
I'm pounding on my desk gently, and like if I whack my mic, you can't really hear that. So.
You may have something wrong with your shock mount then, John, because it's every time it wiggles, it goes do.
Yeah. Okay, I'll troubleshoot that. I'll add that to my list.
Yeah, it looks like the wiggling looks
Actually,
like the.
Move your camera down or move your mic up a little bit, John.
Me?
Yeah.
It looks like you're.
That shock mount is.
Oh.
That shock
mount.
That
where we do visual things, so podcast listeners are like, "What the hell?"
That.
This is not the correct way to do.
Oh yeah, You know what? Oh, I see the problem. Yeah, your elastic. Your elastic is too loose. It might be unhooked or something.
That shock mount setup is not correct.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
you can probably troubleshoot that. Yeah, the inner ring is touching the outer ring. That's the
Right.
problem.
No, it's not. Oh, it is sort of like on one side.
on the bottom. It should be completely centered.
Yeah.
Mine is tight enough that it's completely centered.
Mine was slightly off center, but you can adjust it pretty easily just by moving it around.
That's probably it.
Well, see, it's got this stupid thing here, right? That makes it so that it's like it doesn't move. I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like where they joined it.
Yeah, ours all have that, but you can move things around enough to. Basically, don't move the elastic.
What?
Okay. Look at my screen for a second. Grab the inner ring.
Derek's going to show you how to crochet.
Yes, grab the inner ring and move the inner ring up and down, left and right.
Yours looks totally different.
Yeah, John, your elastic's not set up right. There's something whacked with that.
You know what?
Yeah.
It's the inner ring is supposed to be diagonal to the.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
You have it as a square, and it's supposed to be 45-degree offset.
Okay. Now.
Derick, why don't you tell us what you're working on
while John figures this out. Right. So, I have a crap ton of stuff going on right now, and it's kind of stressing me out. So the Watch Me Code team is growing, and it seems to be growing at a rapid pace. I've got my video editor that I hired years ago out in Hawaii. He's continuing to do my screencast for Watch Me Code, and he's just doing an awesome job with it. That's better, John.
Yeah, it already seems better.
And then
loose, but
I'm not hearing that thudding sound anymore.
it's not quite centered.
Yeah.
Okay, how's that?
That's a whole lot better.
Really?
Yeah.
No thudding.
No
sound?
more thudding. No more thudding.
I can shake my desk. All right.
Yeah.
Fist pound. Yeah.
So I've got a new YouTube video editor that I just hired, which he's doing an amazing job. I posted one of his videos already, and he's working on. Actually, he just delivered me the first edit of my second video, and I was watching it right before we started this call. We're doing some tweaks and changes to it based on feedback on the first one, and he's doing a great job. As part of the hiring process on Upwork to find someone for that, there was my second place runner-up who did a really good intro motion graphic. I really liked the style that he had created. And then yesterday I was thinking about some opportunities for that second place guy to do some work for me, and I noticed in his profile that he's using a Mac, so he's using Apple Motion 5 and Final Cut Pro. I don't use Final Cut Pro, but I know what kind of quality it can produce. But having him on a Mac, especially with Apple Motion, makes a lot of things really easy for me to give to him. So I'm hiring him. He just accepted the offer to rebuild the intro motion graphics for my primary Watch Me Code videos.
Nice.
And we're gonna start with a YouTube video that I have recorded and edited the video, but I need the new motion graphics to go on it. So that'll be the first one that we're gonna put it on. I asked him for 3 different options, 3 different ideas for new intro graphics. So he's gonna be working on that. And then there's the marketing guy that I'm working with. His name is Mark, and I've talked about him a couple times already. So he and I met on Wednesday to go over the first round of notes and thoughts and feedback that he had based on digging into Watch Me Code in general, as well as the RabbitMQ stuff specifically, because we're focusing his first effort on RabbitMQ since it has historically outsold all of my other bundles. It's made far more profit and has had more sales and continues to have a few sales a month in spite of my marketing efforts. So he had some really good feedback on that. And Josh, your email this morning was just absolutely perfect in terms of timing and content. Your idea, your thoughts on, well, you specifically said most people send these huge 17 email long teach everything you know kind of email courses, and that's exactly what I've done with my RabbitMQ Patterns email course.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Mark pointed out as the fatal error in that email course. So he's coming back with some really good ideas, some really good feedback. We started talking about how we want to reorganize that email course, what the first set of emails are going to look like, and we're looking at probably 5, maybe 6 emails in that email course before we get to the real, okay, you've seen these core patterns that are going to be critical to getting productive quickly, but here are all these patterns and those patterns, and you need to install RabbitMQ. Well, here's a free video on that. And, you need to manage it. You need, and just really hitting hard with the value and the quality of content that the RabbitMQ bundle has in it. So I think we're gonna sell a lot with that, because that RabbitMQ Patterns email course and ebook are tremendously popular. I'm selling that as an ebook on LeanPub for $10, and I've made like $1,200 off of it with hardly any advertising. I mean, I barely ever talk about it anywhere, and it's made like $1,200.
I like that idea of linking to the videos, like you said.
Yeah.
Because the more that you can bring people into your world, the better, right? I try to do that same strategy with YouTube. Is I try to link to other videos, all the time in the because I know that once you get that momentum.
John just reflexively went.
Yes.
Like Yosemite Sam.
I've started doing the same thing.
But once you start getting that momentum rolling, because I get emails all the time from people that are like, I just sat and watched 5 hours of your YouTube videos. I just watched 100 of your YouTube videos in a row. And it's like, if someone just watched one, they wouldn't be. But if you link them here and they click to this other one, and now they've watched 3, now they're hooked. Now they're like, bam, and they're into your world. So I like that. Like, you're taking them from the email, you get them to that video, and now they get the next email, and now they're once you hit that certain threshold point and they're in your world, now they want more.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of value to having the multiple, like the multiple medium, multiple mediums where people are seeing you, hearing your voice, reading your emails.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Mark was talking about as well. He's like, we need to get one or more of your videos in front of people as quickly as possible so that they get used to the idea of learning from you and your videos. We want we're gonna record. I'm gonna record a video of me as a talking head talking about the email course. So the thank you page, when you sign up for the email course, you'll go to the thank you page. Thank you for signing up, and there will be a video of me describing the course contents and why this information is so necessary, and a short anecdotal story about how RabbitMQ saved my SAS from crashing, and just little things like that. So there's going to be a lot more little personal touches in it, and a lot more direct access to the videos, the free videos that I have, including some new videos that I'm going to record, like that thank you one. So I think it's going to be pretty darn amazing once we really get down the path. But it's becoming. I think I jumped a little too far into the deep end too quickly in the last 2 weeks, basically hiring 3 people, and I'm really struggling to stay afloat at the moment. It was like, once I started down the path of hiring someone, it's so dang easy to hire someone. Let me just go ahead and hire someone else and someone else.
Get a little adrenaline rush from posting jobs on Upwork. So.
Exactly. Fortunately, I think my YouTube video editor, Suresh, he sent me his first round of edits this morning, and it's darn near perfect. There's like 1 or 2 things I'm going to suggest as very minor. Okay, we don't need these words there, just delete it. Right. And that's about it. Other than that, I mean, he picked up the style that I want so dang quickly on that first video that the second one he's done, it's going to be done real quick. So I'm super happy with the results he's producing. It's going to be a little more back and forth work with Pedro on the motion graphics, because it's a new creative endeavor, so there's just naturally going to be that. But then the real issue is I've got all these emails that I have to write for the work Josh and I are doing together, and now I have all these emails and things that I have to write for the work that Mark and I are doing together. Plus, I need to continue to produce videos, and I need to continue doing my client work, and I need to do Watch Me Code videos and Watch Me Code customer support, and so that it's a little overwhelming right now, but I already see how I'm going to be far more productive in the near future, because I can stop focusing on the production of these things and get myself focused just on the content creation.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's certainly going to be a good thing. Ironically, the video that Suresh is editing for me right now is one where I talk about the need to let go and to trust the other people that you're working with, but still verify the stuff that they're doing to make sure that they're not going off on the deep end. And I have some really good stories of my own personal experience with extremes on those fronts. But the irony, though, is that as he is editing that video for me, I am editing a YouTube video because I don't yet trust anyone else to do it the way I want.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
I'm kind of I debated, okay, should I just toss this one over to Pedro and have him do it? I probably should, but what I wanted to do instead was just I spent like an hour on it this morning, and I'm pretty much done with it. And so I'm going to send Pedro my edit, and once he has my edit, I'm going to have him just use what I created in this edit as kind of the template for moving forward with more screencasts.
Was it just clarifying what you wanted to say that you were?
How I want the edits to be done. So this screencast that I was editing this morning, it's code, it's talking head with me, fading in and out at various times. It's a few corrections, things like that. So there's kind of a style of when I come into the picture as me talking with hand gestures versus me fading to the background to show code, things like that. And I wanted to do that once myself for him to see before I start sending videos to him to edit. And I'm not yet sure if I'm going to send those screencast videos over to Pedro or Suresh or Scott, my current video editor out in Hawaii. So I'm like, okay, which who should be doing what, when and where, and kind of right now I'm thinking Pedro is going to be good for the creative side of things because he definitely has that creative touch. Suresh is going to continue doing the YouTube videos, and I probably just end up sending the screencasts, even my YouTube screencasts, over to my editor in Hawaii. But I'm still debating all that. So a lot of stuff going on. I've recorded. I think I've published 3 or 4 videos a week between YouTube and Watch Me Code for like the last 3 weeks. And the more I do it, the more I want to do it. Like every time I sit down to try and write a blog post, I'm like, oh, that'd make a better video. Let me record that real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting the bug.
Yes. But I don't want to burn out is the thing. So I actually forced myself to write a blog post for today. Yeah. So I do have a new blog post that's not video up today.
It's a different, it's definitely a different medium. Like you do differently, and I think both are valuable. I'd stopped writing for a while. Now I'm writing, an hour a day, and it's good. It's getting a different part of my brain working, which is helping. But yeah, it's interesting with the YouTube. Like, I mean, once you get a process down and you've got it solid, then you can start pumping out stuff. I mean, I've been doing 2 videos a day. We're putting out 17 videos a week now on YouTube. And it's really doesn't take me much effort at all, right? I mean, it's like, I've just got the system. I've got multiple ways that I can, do a video and get it quickly. With Rodrigo editing them, but yeah, once you get that system in place, you can start really upping the content production.
Right. Yeah. And then, my goal with my stuff is like I just want to do my writing, and then I want to put whatever it is in a Dropbox folder, and not think about it again.
Exactly.
And I've got a Zapier, like a Zap setup, so that when I publish, so I use Scrivener to write my emails, and so my emails have every email has a subject line, which is the subject line. It has the published date, and it has a title, which is the blog post title. And then I'll put like little inline editorial notes, and then I just at the end of the week, I just select all 5 of them, hit compile, because Scrivener lets you like compile documents. So I just compile them into one Word document, and I save it in Dropbox, and then Zapier picks that up and throws a Trello card on my board with Aaron to schedule the emails, and then I have another one. He's also scheduling the previous week's emails on Medium.
Nice.
So I'm trying out Medium as another way to build.
That's another medium.
Yes.
Exactly.
So I'm probably, and I'm going to try it for maybe 2 months, I think, and then I'm probably going to abandon it. It's kind of like Facebook and Twitter have done this too. It's like all these companies are like, oh, we have this algorithm that surfaces like the best content, and you don't see all the spammy content. You only see the good stuff. Well, like I publish stuff on these channels, and I get insanely high engagement rates, and none of it ever bubbles up. Like stuff either goes with these algorithms. Stuff either goes supernova viral, or it just doesn't get any attention at all. And you have no control over it, and the quality of the content has very little to do with it. There's just a magic stars sometimes align, in 1% of cases, and you get some traction. But otherwise, like I had my blog post. I did a blog post this week on Wednesday, and I posted a tweet about it. Perry Marshall retweeted it, and then Thrive retweeted it, and I got like 8 hits. I got like 8 visits out of that. Because of the way that Twitter, that would have been like, I would have gotten several hundred page views on that.
Yeah.
6 months ago but the way that Twitter, like I get tweets where like my average engagement rate on a tweet is like around 0.5% or something ridiculous like that. But I'll get like these crazy high, every once in a while I'll get like crazy high click-throughs, and it doesn't change the number of people that see it at all. Like it doesn't seem to matter. I don't know what the magic formula is now with Twitter.
It's to move to Snapchat.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You gotta go to Snapchat, baby. That's where it's at. You gotta be like at the front of the pack, whatever the next social media thing is, and you gotta like before it's actually useful to people.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So Medium is turning out to be the same way. Like supposedly they have some kind of algorithm, but I get like really good. My articles are pretty short, so I get really good high read throughs, and I get decent recommendations, and they don't get any like boosts out of it.
So,
but so that's just kind of an experiment. But it's taking me no additional time to do that, so why not?
Right.
My VA just spends an extra 10 minutes a week on it, and schedules them all out. And then I'll probably also have him do the same thing on LinkedIn, because why not? With LinkedIn Pulse.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not quite at the point where I can forget about the things once I drop it in Dropbox, but eventually I'm going to get to that point where when I put the video into YouTube into Dropbox, then Suresh will just pick it up and publish it. And I haven't asked him about his copywriting skills for the video description yet, but I'll eventually ask him about that. And even if he's not comfortable with that or doesn't quite do it the way I want, then I can just, when I put the video in there, I'll put a text file with it.
Yeah.
And have the few words of description and questions and stuff.
Yeah, I just let Rodrigo do it, and sometimes his descriptions are interesting.
Yeah.
And but I'm like, whatever. It
doesn't matter that much.
And sometimes his titles are interesting. Like when I recorded this first video I did about like eye contact and stuff, I intended to make it like something a little bit less inflammatory, but he titled it "How to Get Girls as a Programmer," so I was like, all right, I'll just go with that. Yeah. So, but it's fun. But it's like, but I don't know. Like I kind of give a lot of. It's funny because with the editor too, with our editorial team, I basically like do what Josh like. When I write, I just write in a Google Doc, and then when I'm done, I just throw it on Trello, and that's the last I see of it. It gets edited, and Elisa, she knows like that she has people working on her team, and they'll leave comments and they'll be put suggestions and stuff, and she's like, just don't involve John. Just
just make a decision and get it done.
Yeah. It's like so. I'm like, well, I mean, sometimes they make less than optimal decisions, but it doesn't matter because I can always go back and like if I see it and then go back and say next time don't do this, as opposed to being involved in the process because I'd rather it be like that and come back later. But it works out great because I mean all I do, I literally just open up a Google Doc, start writing, and when I'm done I just drop it on the Trello board, and then that thing gets published, gets images, gets everything in it, and it goes out there.
the Fizzle guys have a really good rule for this that I heard them talking about a couple years ago, and their rule is unless I hear otherwise. So their rule is like if they just kind of like inform each other what they're going to do, and they say like unless I hear otherwise, this is what I'm doing, and that way you don't feel obligated to like respond.
Right.
If you're okay with it, you just let it go. So with Aaron. I have him, he basically goes through and he has the authority to make minor edits to my emails. Like he's caught a few typos over the last few weeks. Like he actually reads all of them and does some cross-linking for me, and then he's corrected a few typos. So I used the word strategize because I was,
strategery.
Yeah, strategery. So he's from he's from Malaysia. So he wasn't familiar with that particular sketch.
Didn't quite get that joke.
So he corrected it, and then I emailed him back. I was like, actually, Google strategery, and he Slack chatted me back with the crying, laughing icon. He'd not seen that before. But yeah, I mean, everything else he's caught has been legit. And it's nice. He just sends me a little summary of the changes that he made, and any discretionary moves that he made that deviated from our established process, and then I just approve or tell him to change it.
Yep. Yeah. It's once you get the process down, it really is helpful. Like it's amazing how much more stuff you can produce, and then
one thing on this too is like you have to have a very short a very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Your tripwire for when to get rid of somebody has to be very sensitive. Because it's basically as soon as they miss something, like it's all going to go downhill from there. Like I had my VA my first VA, the Russian guy that I was working with, he started off great, and then like he missed 1 week. He didn't get my email scheduled on time, and then like that was it. And I've had that experience multiple times. It's like once they flake out on you once, then and if you really want somebody who, like with Rodrigo and Aaron both, they're very proactive, and so they'll tell you what they're doing. If there's something coming up and they can't hit a deadline, like you should look for those signs early on,
right?
And give them like several small one-off projects first. And then once you see that kind of behavior, you have a winner. But if you don't, if you have to follow up with them at all, like I would say usually it's going to not be worth keeping them. So you want somebody who's like over communicating, and that way you just have, because for me it's like if I have to think about this at all, it's not worth doing.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if I have to email him every week to remind him to do what I asked him to do, it's not worth it for me. So.
Oh, hey Derick, I had a question for you. I want to get your opinion. I recorded a real estate course.
Really?
Yesterday.
Randomly,
I did the whole course.
Jeez.
Yeah, 2.5 hours worth of. I just like straight shot through it. I mean, I planned it out ahead of time, but then I just shot 2.5 hours, and I have a real estate course now.
Nice.
But obviously the videos from my DSLR were like 4 or 5 gig each.
Yeah, a couple of terabytes total.
Right? So I ended up with like 60 gig of video, basically. So I went and I installed Handbrake, and I compressed the video using H.265.
264.
No, 265. So is that okay? Right? 264 is like the old format, but 265 is the newer one, and it's like supposed to be better, like a lot more, like half the size. So I went and batch did that, but I just wanted to make sure that there was nothing. If you knew of, I figured you might know if there's any reason why that would be a bad idea. If people are gonna be like, what? Why would you encode it like this? Because now the whole thing is down to like 1.72 gig. So, and I looked at the files. They're M4Vs. They look good. What happened here? This is weird.
I had not heard of H265. I'm reading up on it right now. It looks promising. All the articles that I'm seeing are talking about half the file size.
And I think most devices, I tried it on my iPhone through Dropbox, and it looked like it played it fine.
Yeah, that would be the real question, is whether or not devices are going to be up to date for using that.
Yeah.
But I mean, essentially, that's what I should do, right? Like, I mean,
it depends on who your audience is. If your audience is going to be people that tend to have slightly older devices, I'd probably go 264 on that encoding, in spite of the larger file size, because slightly older devices from a few years ago may not support the 265 encoding.
Okay. I guess I'll have to see. I guess I'll need to keep the originals.
Yes, that's above all else. That would be an important thing to do, so that you can go back and re-encode however you need to.
I guess I'll just drop the originals maybe on my whatchamacallit, Synology.
Right.
Because they're not like super critical. Like if I lost them, I wouldn't be like, but just so I have them, because
I'm looking forward to Dropbox. Have you guys heard about the change that Dropbox is making, where you can have files that show up on your computer but are not? It's a better version of selective sync. Forgetting what they're calling it. Yeah, I forget what they call it, but it's going to be amazing. It'll basically all your files will show up as if they're physically on your computer, but you can flag them to be like cloud only, and then you just double click on it and it downloads and opens.
Okay, that's exactly what I want.
Yes, exactly. Me too. Yeah, exactly. Because I have a 500 gig. My Mac hard drive, or its SSD, is almost full. I've got like 30 gigs free, and I just I have a bunch of stuff that's like videos and stuff that I want to have access to it, but I don't want to have it on my computer.
And here's the key to this feature. I don't know if they have this. Maybe you know, Josh, but I want to drop stuff in that folder, have it go up to the cloud, and then not be physically on my computer anymore.
I don't know if it'll do that automatically, but once it uploads it, you could just uncheck it, and it would be like cloud only.
Okay, because I'd like that for certain folders. Like, for example, the YouTube folder for Rodrigo, I don't need the YouTube files sitting there. Like, he can have those, but I need to drop them in there and then go up. So that would be cool. Yeah, that would be really useful.
And you'll even be able to interact with the files from the command line. So you could have bash scripts or whatever, and you just execute it, and it'll download and then execute.
Cool. Okay, but I guess in general, that's the thing, is I pull the files off of the video camera, and then I just you know what's weird about this? I guess this is the first time, because I didn't do any edits. Because I didn't have any retakes, because I didn't have any, I just straight through shot a 2.5-hour course, and normally the last time I shot a course, I had a lot of edits.
Right.
But now that I'm doing 2 YouTube videos a day, and it basically I could just shoot the whole course. So I normally would bring it up in Camtasia or whatever I'm editing it, and then put out the file, and then I'm not thinking about this problem. It's just rendering.
Right.
So I guess that's but I'm assuming that makes sense. Is just use Handbrake. Even if I did the other encoding, just use Handbrake and compress the files.
Right. Okay. Yeah, Handbrake is pretty slick. I've used that a number of times to reduce file sizes. At this point, my editor for Watch Me Code, he does a really good job of getting the file sizes, finding the right balance between compression and detail. Because when you compress more, you get artifacts and whatnot, of course. So with people talking, it's generally less of a problem if you compress more. But with code on the screen, compression ends up blurring the fine lines of text, and it makes it difficult to read and understand.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't think it should be a problem. But so we're doing a bundle. I don't know if we talked about that. We've got this bundle. I don't think
this is the first I've heard of about it.
Someone approached us about this passive income for developers bundle, and we didn't really have a product that we wanted to put into there. So we were going to turn them down, and then I was like, hey, Josh, I could just like whip together like a real estate or like a, because we were thinking about doing one eventually. So I was like, oh, not a super polished thing, but just like I could give quite a bit of valuable advice in just like a couple hour course I'd do in an afternoon, and that would probably that would definitely be worth paying like $100 for or whatever for sure. And so that was the plan. So we basically just whipped this thing together.
Yeah. So basically in August we're gonna have. I guess we'll have to talk about this, John. We're gonna have. It sounds like we're gonna have to promote this to our audience as well, which makes sense. I wasn't really thinking about that, but yeah. So they're basically it's a guy. He's actually been on. I think he was on my Sublime list, and I think might be on my current email list as well. But yeah, he's like a developer. He's done a bunch of stuff with like Angular and stuff, I think. So like JavaScript books and that sort of thing. He's on LeanPub, so he's got some of the top books. I don't know how you pronounce his name. It's like Azad or Azad.
Yeah, okay. I was talking with him a couple of months ago. I need to follow up with him. I'm going to do an interview with him for my Node.js interview series.
Okay.
I own several of his books, and the dude is prolific to say the least. But he really knows his stuff. He's incredibly intelligent, really good guy.
Yeah, so he's got this. Yeah, so he just came up with this idea, and they're trying to get Amy Hoy and Nathan Barry. We'll see if they get them. But yeah, there's like a blog. We didn't want to put. It didn't make any sense to put how to market yourself in there, because it's not really. Doesn't really fit the kind of the goal. Plus, the point of the package is to have the price be fairly low, and we don't want to give away a $300 product for we only get a slice of the revenue, so we'd essentially be giving it away for like $30 or $40 probably.
Each.
Yeah. But with this, something that I did in an afternoon, and honestly, I know a lot of people would be like, "What? How can you sell me something you did in an afternoon?" But it's like, well, yeah, and an afternoon in 15 years.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
I'm giving you like, I'm sitting down with you and like.
You didn't pay me for an afternoon worth of work. You paid me for 15 years of experience.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it happened to take me an afternoon.
Yeah. So. So I after recording it, I think it's really, really valuable stuff. Like I'm like, wow, this is like this may even be like ready to be polished to make a $600 product out of it.
Wow.
Because I feel like it's got I'll have to let you I'll give you a copy if you want, but once I get it packaged together.
Yeah, my wife and I have talked about real estate investments a number of times in the last year or two, so it's definitely something that I'd want to check out.
Okay, yeah, John convinced me about that. Like Derick, you've been on the email threads we've had about this, and I was super skeptical about it until MicroConf. When I sat there for like an hour and a half and listened to John talk about it at dinner that night, and I finally the one piece that I wasn't getting was the way like most people teach you with real estate, that they teach you how to over leverage yourself and basically take on a bunch of risk, and then if one thing goes wrong, you're bankrupt.
Yeah.
And this is the opposite of that.
Right.
It really couldn't be more opposite. So.
In fact, you'll like this, Josh. I think the very first real video in the course is called Cash Flow versus Leverage, and it talks about that.
Yep.
I'm like basically everyone else who tells you about real estate starts you off with all of this stuff. I'm going to tell you before I even give you any strategy or anything else. I'm going to tell you the most important thing you need to know, which is this knob between cash flow and leverage. And once you understand this, then you can kind of gear it to what you want. So
yeah, that was the thing that I didn't get that I got. So
yeah, I think this will be really valuable. I've got to go today and just get all the videos organized, and then I need to send it to transcriptionist, and then I think that's. I think we're not going to do any edits on this or any kind of intros or anything. We're going to make this simple for this package, and then depending on the feedback and success that we have from this, I think we can make a real product out of this and sell it to our audience eventually.
Yep.
So. And I put plenty of disclaimers in there. I was like, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not. These results are not guaranteed. Past performance does not predict future, and this is just my opinion. So I think we're covered there.
I'm going to end up in jail. The FTC is going to come haul away the copywriter here.
Oh my! Did you see that, JP? Did you see that video I sent you, Josh?
Oh yeah, that was
the life coach video from JP. Have you heard of this guy, Derick? JP?
This has been on Facebook.
I don't think so.
Getting spiritual with JP, like.
Yeah, he's got a life coaching. It's like a program for life coaches about how to be life coaches. I think it's his. I love his sales funnel. It's this great spoof. It's really funny.
Okay.
It's so funny because it's like I shared it on my Facebook, and one of my friends was like, that's you, dude. That's like you. It's what you're doing, man. And I know, that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here. Just want to take a second to thank one of the sponsors for this episode of EntreProgrammers, DigitalOcean. So I've talked about DigitalOcean a lot before on the show, and that's because they're just such an awesome company. I use them to host all of my websites, basically simpleprogrammer.com, which gets around 200,000 page views a month, runs on there super smooth. Get Up and Code runs on there. The EntreProgrammers podcast that you're listening to right now, we use DigitalOcean for that. I use it for just about everything, and it's such a good deal. As far as hosting goes, right, if you're going to run your own Linux server and do your own web hosting at $5 a month, which is the starting plan for DigitalOcean, you just really can't beat that. It's crazy. And when you do need something super powerful, DigitalOcean comes through for you as well, and it's so easy to scale up to that. I started out on Simple Programmer with a $10 a month box, and I was even able with that to get 100,000 page views a month without much of a problem. But when I wanted to scale up, all I had to do was bring the server down, expand the size, go up to the higher size droplet, and bam, I was up there, and I've expanded it a couple of times since then. So DigitalOcean, definitely awesome company. I would definitely recommend that you check it out if you have any idea of creating a website online, or you want to have your own Linux server to be able to do whatever it is that you want to do, some development or put out a production app. Just a ton of great things that you can do with DigitalOcean. Go to DigitalOcean.com and use the code EntreProgrammers to get $10 credit. So DigitalOcean.com, EntreProgrammers is your code, and you get $10 credit, good for basically 2 months at a $5 box, so you can check it out.
But it's kind of funny because he's he makes fun of all kinds of yoga and vegetarianism and being allergic to gluten and all this things, Instagram yoga poses. He's just it's hilarious. So but it's funny because he knows his stuff so he can really dig deep, and he's got the whole he had the marketing funnel on there, and he starts off and he's like I'm really looking forward to making a lot of money on my ebook about how to write ebooks to make a lot of money to get rich. Oh, yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting rich on my ebook on how to write ebooks that teach people how to get rich.
Yeah, I like the part where he's shooting the YouTube video with his handheld camera on the beach in front of his beach house, and he's talking about how he's going to tell people how this beach house isn't really that important. What really matters is all the spiritual stuff, but really the beach house is what's important.
And then he has a little clip where he's like, because I'm an entrepreneur, I go to the beach whenever I want. So.
Yeah. I was both laughing and also having a crisis of identity as I was watching this.
Yes.
And he's like this. He says, I read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill and a bunch of other books.
Yes, I read that, of course. Yes.
Yeah, it's fun, but
good stuff. So I did something really easy this week that it seems like it's going to help a lot. Actually, I was thinking before work. I was just journaling, and I was I had this idea. One thing John wants me to do is optimize our products page. So we've got this page that just has all, I guess, everything like the Pluralsight videos and everything, and the 3 courses on there, and it's just copy that John threw together, so we're going to optimize it. But I was like, why don't I just skip that? So I turned the products button on the top of the site into a products menu with a drop down for the 3 different courses, and lo and behold, like tons of people are clicking on them. And we immediately made a sale. Like I set it up with UTM parameters so I can track the clicks on them, and we like immediately made a sale of 10 steps. So I think it's going to add like several $100s at least of revenue per month, just like that one silly thing.
Right.
But the other thing I noticed though is since I've got the UTM parameters, I can see what people are clicking on, and so of the three courses, so I've got 10 Steps to Learn, I've got the blogging workbook, I've got How to Market Yourself, and basically people are deciding what to click on based on the titles of the product. And almost nobody is clicking on How to Market Yourself as a software developer, which confirms what we've thought for a long time, that that's just a terrible name for that product. And I'm actually thinking I'm going to use this little button as a way to test different titles.
Yeah.
And then when we find one that works, I'm going to just retitle the course. But yeah, like we're getting, so 62% of people are clicking on 10 Steps to Learn, and then only 14% of people are clicking on How to Market Yourself. So it's just like, it's so much less appealing. I'm going to try to work on the titles of them until I get them all about even.
That's the ingenious idea. It's like it's so obvious now, right? It's like, you know, again, that title, that 24-hour challenge bites me in the ass.
Yeah.
That product, but now we can fix it.
Oh my goodness, the 24-hour challenge, Derick. I have spent like hours and hours over the last few weeks undoing some of the things we forced John to do as part of that stupid challenge. So like all the stuff I did with DPD to like unwind and go back and get the stores set up correctly was like kind of related to that.
Yeah.
We have devcareerboost.com, which is this zombie site with like 3 pages on it that I'm having to have my VA rebuild for us, and with Thrive and everything. I've probably spent at least a solid week just like pulling everything back onto simpleprogrammer.com. But it's really nice. I've got everything now in analytics in the same. Everything's in one store in DPD. Everything's in Google Analytics under one property. Everything is just working. Everything just seems to be like working so much better now. It seems like the DPD conversion tracking is reporting to Google Analytics correctly.
Nice.
So yeah, it's super nice, and I think it actually it improved our conversion rates too, to just have everything on the simpleprogrammer.com domain. Once we got past that like 3 weeks in May where things were bumpy, it's been like, it seems like everything's just been selling better since then.
Yeah.
So we're on SSL and.
That's funny. I was thinking we should have done the 24-hour challenge for the real estate courses I was putting together. I was like, at the same time you could have been working on the sales page. We could have just like, boom, all of a sudden, have a new product. But
I mean, you basically did that.
Close to.
You don't have the sales page up, but
Yeah. So our sales are doing pretty good. I think we're at like, now that DPD fixed our thing, we're at like 13.6K for the month. So
Speaking of sales, I got a new Watch Me Code member yesterday.
Woo!
Nice, all right.
Awesome. So you're getting like, it seems like 2 or 3 a month maybe.
This is the first one in June.
Okay. You had one like at the end of.
Yeah, I had.
Month, right.
I had 3 new ones in May, and I did have somebody renew in June. So this is the
that's what I was thinking of.
This is the second full payment, but first new customer in June.
All right. I have something I want you to do, Derick, since you can do this at this
point. Go
point.
out and party and spend the $350 that I just got?
On one bottle of scotch.
Yes,
you could definitely do that.
I could do that on a third of a bottle of scotch.
No, here's what you should do. because you're in the position to do this now that you've changed your model, is every time you get a new customer, get their address, right? I don't know if you're already getting it. You probably already are.
I'm not. I should do that though.
Get some maybe even some custom cards, like thank you cards that have your Watch Me Code logo on it.
Mm-hmm.
Write a handwritten note that says on the card, thank you for being a Watch Me Code subscriber. Congratulations, you're making a choice to advance your career. Give them some kind of pat on the back that makes them feel good about they've made a good choice.
It's a stick letter, called a stick letter.
And throw in a couple of stickers of Watch Me Code stickers if you have.
Now it's even more of a stick letter.
and the reason why I'm saying this is because if you're getting 20 customers a month, well, you could maybe even do it at that, but it'd be much more difficult. It'd be work, right? But if you're getting
at that point, I just
a month at this point,
right?
Yeah, 3, you know what I mean. Even as it scales up, if you get to the point where you're getting 10 customers a month, this is that unscalable thing that could make a huge difference. That is just not going to take you much effort at all. But when people get that, they're going to be like, wow, this is, and they're likely to spread word of mouth. So I would do this.
I think so too.
That's brilliant.
Yep. Vistaprint.com is you can get note cards like that made for $20. I actually had some made up just to have note cards that I could send out handwritten notes on. So
and imagine what the renewal rate is going to be on those people. It's going to be high. So.
Yep, that's sweet. I'm excited.
That's a good idea. I am going to ask for this guy's address in Slack right now.
He's going to be so freaked out.
Yes, he is. What the crap? Why are you asking for my address?
Yep.
But make that part of your collection info when you when you collect.
Yeah, ideally, if you can do that after they've already entered their email address, that would be ideal. So you at least have them in the cart, and it's not hitting them in the face with it.
You might even be able to just pull it from Stripe. I mean, most people's mailing addresses are their credit card address.
That would be interesting. Also, partially creepy.
Well, I don't know. I mean. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd probably put the shipping address on there.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even say, "Hey, what's your address?" I mean, I'd like to send you something special, and then people are going to send. Obviously, they're going to,
Yeah, I could do that on the thank you page. That'd be the easiest place. I could, "Hey, thanks for signing up. I'd like to send you a little gift. Send me your mailing address."
Mm-hmm. You could make You could use just use a regular forms.
Yeah.
You can use what is that plugin? Gravity Forms. Yeah.
Gravity Forms.
Yeah, just use Gravity Forms. You can actually have that connect to Drip too, and you could have it update.
Right.
With Zapier.
Yep.
But yeah, I totally agree that's seriously valuable, and people will post that on Twitter.
Exactly.
And Facebook when it comes, they're gonna be pretty shocked.
Yeah.
So I got a card from the internet.
Exactly. No, a physical card from the internet.
Yeah, totally do that. Yeah, I'm actually thinking about setting up a. I'm making a note about this. Actually, I forgot to. I want to set up a automated email, a transactional email, to go out with under your name. Whenever somebody buys How to Market Yourself, and ask them if I could ask them a few questions, basically.
Okay.
So I'd like to get more insight about people who have just made the decision to buy.
Okay. Yeah, we should probably give them some kind of value in that as well, rather than just an ask. So maybe there's something that we could, think about.
I will offer them free coaching with you. How's that?
Maybe some other piece of content or something that we can add, or create something exclusive for that.
Yep.
We need a few that we were talking about. We need a few of these, bonus, short little mini courses or something. Probably in video format, where it's here, thank you, or give this thing away, or So.
Yep. Yeah, bonuses that we don't sell anywhere else. That Ben Settle actually has a bunch of that stuff. He's got he's got this. I want this actually. He's got this. His old newsletter that he used to publish. He doesn't market it anymore, and so he only includes it as a bonus. It's like if you paid for the newsletter, it would have cost about $1,000 to get all the episodes or the issues. And he basically says it's like a $9.97 value, and he doesn't sell it any other way. The only way to get it is usually to buy some $2,000 to $3,000 package that he's promoting.
Nice. Yeah.
So yeah, and I want this stupid. I've been very tempted a couple of times to jump on his sales just to grab it because I want it so much. But
yeah, cool. Yeah, I think that's a good tactic. So yeah, I'm trying to think what else was.
Yeah, we have been I was telling John, we need to get paid for all the bugs that we report.
Yeah.
So, holy cow, yes.
DPD. When we did our import, I kind of got actually a little annoyed with the customer service guy because he was like, well, the way he phrased it was like, when you imported your transactions, they got duplicated. Like I somehow screwed up, and it was totally not my fault at all. It was completely a bug on their end, and I knew it was a bug on their end, and like. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they finally figured it out today. It's been like about 10 days, but they were pretty good. I had to keep following up with them, but they were pretty nice about it. So a qualified thumbs up to DPD for that. And then yesterday I wasted probably about 2 hours trying to figure out why the DPD, or sorry, the new Thrive drip API single opt-in feature didn't work, and it's because it's a bug.
Yep.
So yeah, I was trying to hack I tried to hack the plugin myself to see if I could figure out what was going on, but it was like, yeah, I couldn't figure out if it was just it was somehow a caching issue, where the files I was editing weren't getting used because it was already cached or whatever. But yeah, it's just completely hosed, and there were a bunch of other people complaining about it on the Thrive forum, so I confirmed it, and then Drip support confirmed it to me, and I posted that update, and just breaking everything.
Exactly.
So I got Southern California Code Camp this weekend.
Oh, nice.
I put together a new talk, an experimental talk that I just last minute submitted because I was supposed to come up with talks for the keynote that I'm doing in Vegas next month for Blackboard.
This is an experimental talk called Hard Skills, where John talks about how actually what really matters is your technical programming ability, right. Nothing else.
Going with the Walt Whitman approach, contradicting yourself, but. But no, so I came up with. So I decided for that Blackboard one and for my main talk at the Code Conference and for China that I'm just going to do the one I did at Xamarin Evolve, the whole that because that was really popular. I felt like I delivered it well, and that should be kind of my polished, my go-to talk. I don't need to have 15 different talks. I can have. I've been debating between that and just I don't know. I think the next time someone pays me to talk, I'm going to be I'm going to go up there and it's going to be a talk like that. And just I'm going to just like I do YouTube videos. I'm going to come up with a topic probably 5 minutes before I go on stage and we're going to talk. And it's going to be valuable because of that.
Make that a conversation with the audience. That would be incredible.
Well, yeah, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, not just you up there talking, but right. Get people involved and really, point at people and ask questions and get them to ask questions and respond and just really get the audience involved.
Yeah. Even when I have a regular talk, I do a good part of that as well. So it would be pretty natural.
Yeah,
but yeah, the new talk that I'm thinking about, because that other talk is, I got to change the name of it, but it's called 5 Soft Skills Every Software Developer Should Know, and it's really about doing things that the only way to grow is to be uncomfortable. It's the only way to grow, and but through different ways. But the new talk I'm going to do, I'm thinking about, or that I wrote an outline for, that I'm going to experiment on CodeCamp, is trusting the process.
Mm.
I was going to talk about the idea of like divorcing results from action and like how trusting in a different context of how you use that idea, that concept of trusting the process in order to like accomplish things, to feel better, to like all of these aspects. So that'll be. I didn't want to do that for like a keynote or anything because I'm not as sure on that one that it'll. So yeah, so I think that's the plan. I've got a bunch of speaking coming up here because this weekend I'll be doing those 2 talks at Code Camp, and then next month I'll be going to Vegas for like July 11th to do that keynote for that Blackboard company, and then right after that I'll be pretty much flying out to China and then doing the keynote there, and then they set up like 2 other talks in China. I don't know if it'll be the same talk or what, but yeah. I've been getting a lot of, and I got a ton of invites I got an invite to speak at Dev Intersections, but they only pay like $500 a talk. So I was like, yeah, so I held to it because it's a decent conference, but I was like, no, I'm just like, if you want me to come in and do a keynote and you're going to pay the big bucks for the keynote, like I want to position myself as a keynote speaker and that's it, because it's not worth it, because it's like, for me, it's like, yeah, there's the vanity thing of going and talking at one of these conferences, but it doesn't matter. It's not going to move the needle. Like, I'm not a consultant. Like, I can understand them offering $500 a talk for consultants, where it's like they're basically getting free advertising in their audience, and they're going to make a bunch of money. But for me, it's not. It doesn't scale. So yeah. So if I'm coming in, you're paying me big bucks, and I'm pretty much doing or I'm doing the keynote, and it's just something I want to do. But yeah. So. I think that's where I've landed with it. So, but
I'm quite happy to not do any more talks at all.
I've got a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, I like the my current approach of getting other people to do all the prep work and hard work while I just ask them questions. That's working out really well for me. I like the interview format and the webinar format where I bring somebody else in as the expert.
Yeah.
That way I get to learn, and they get to do all the hard work.
Yeah, I'm actually doing a webinar this week for my list as well on Wednesday. So it'll be doing at 3 p.m. Eastern. But there's a guy named Cody Lister that reached out to me, and he's doing one of those big summits about email marketing, basically, and so he interviewed me for that. And then I asked him if he'd be interested in doing just a webinar, like a no sales webinar with me, just teaching content. And he's like, sure. So we're gonna do the single opt-in thing. I sent him a single opt-in link, and so I should be able to I think I can get like 8. I should be able to almost double my email list with this one talk. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that'll be fun next week, and it forced me to do just to get everything set up for it. So I've got kind of got the emails all written now. I can do these again. I can do another one of these again, and it'll take me like an hour to get everything set up. So I've got all the plumbing in place now.
Yeah. Once you get that plumbing in place, that's what we've got to do when we start doing the webinar.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to do it as a Google Hangout. We'll see how this works. I'm gonna try to do it as a Google Hangout with there's a free chat widget that you can get. So I'm just gonna have like a Thrive page, like a landing page with the Google Hangout on air embedded in it, and then the chat window embedded in it, and see if that.
Oh.
Yeah, so it'll basically what I'm going to do is I'll send out I'll just send out a link to that page when the webinar is going live. So instead of having them log in or something with GoToWebinar or whatever, they'll just hit that page, and hopefully it'll work. We'll see what happens. So
okay.
Yeah, it's not really for me. It's not worth paying. The webinar platforms are all several $100s a month,
Yeah.
It's definitely not worth it for me at this point because I'm not even going to monetize this right away. Later on, I might pay for it, but I figure like all I have to do is like schedule a few broadcast emails reminders manually, and I can have my VA do that later, and they're actually going to be better. I mean, the ones that go to webinar or whatever platform I use, those reminder emails always suck anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They're like just boilerplate garbage.
But do you throw a calendar invite in there if you can, so that people can do a one-click? And, at least on your first email or when they register.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how to do that.
It probably is worth looking at to figure out.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll research that.
With a live event like that makes a difference.
Yeah, like a Google Calendar invite. I always use that.
Yep. Yeah, if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, and even then sometimes.
Yeah.
John used to always forget about meetings. My favorite was
so annoyed.
My favorite was when I worked at Derick. The HR department was an hour ahead of me in Boston.
Oh God!
And they would always schedule meetings with me at 1 p.m. their time, right after they got back from lunch. Well, that was 12 noon for me. And I would invariably miss the meeting, forget about it, because I'd be at lunch. I'd be like, man, I'm hungry, I'm going to lunch, and totally miss the meeting. Like 4 or 5 times in a row with HR.
Nice.
Yes. So, but anyway, with Cody, with Cody's experience with all these, I think he said he's tried all the webinar platforms basically, and he said they all pretty much suck, and they all use Google Hangouts. So they all just using Google Hangouts is going to expose you to a lot of the same potential problems. Like you're not getting a whole lot of help from the webinar platforms, and they tend to be glitchy. So we'll see how this goes. If it works out, I might continue, or I'll see if I end up paying for something.
Yeah. Cool.
But if all I have to do is edit a page, like if I just have to edit a page in Thrive and manually schedule a couple emails, that's really not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And I could set up when I have a product sales backend, I can totally have that just be a campaign that I just do a bulk schedule a scheduled bulk thing in Drip to move everyone under the campaign, and then it wouldn't have to think about it. So.
Yeah, and you could have your guy do this for you once you get the
Exactly.
process down. So.
Yep.
Oh, speaking of not eating lunch, I'll give an update on my program. It's I'm hitting crazy levels. I showed Josh the stats that are coming off of my Why Things scale, but I basically started the month. Well, here I'll give you the current reading. Just so this is nuts. This is way better than what I expected, and I've done all kinds of stuff, but the proof is in the scale, really.
This is pretty interesting because you basically are using the scientific method here. You came up with this protocol, and then you're just trying it.
Yeah.
It's not like you'd already you tried pieces of it, but hadn't tried all this stuff together.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So if I go back, I'll just start because June, the beginning of June was basically when this really started. So my reading from June 1st is 210.8 pounds and 11.35% body fat. My reading from today, this morning, is 211.3 pounds. So about a half a pound gain, right? Mm-hmm. But my body fat percentage reading is 8.52% on the same scale. So this is in a 24-day period. So in a 24-day period, I've essentially gained about half a pound and dropped my body fat percentage on this from 11.35% to 8.52%.
So basically you've put on a bunch of muscle.
Basically, this sounds really weird, but I've basically converted fat energy into muscle. because that's the only way to explain it, right? Because obviously fat has left, and that energy was used in part. Obviously I ate, in addition, but in part to generate a denser, a more voluminous tissue, which is protein, muscle. Because so this is like pretty insane. That this is working that well. I've never.
Are you in a calorie deficit, or are you just like at a maintenance level?
Well, some days I'm in a calorie deficit. It's really hard to predict or to know where I'm at as far as calorie deficit or not. I mean, I can't be in much of a deficit because my weight went up.
Right.
Right. So that's but which is weird. I could actually be in somewhat of a deficit overall and have my weight go up. And the reason why, this is something that I discovered from doing this diet, and I've never heard anyone talk about this, but if you think about it, fat, right? Every gram of fat is 9 calories worth of energy. Okay. And fat is efficiently stored. So inside of a fat cell, it's basically a chain of triglycerides, right? So it is compact. It's like 90% triglycerides and 10% water. So if you take that fat molecule and you release it as energy, right? And then you now take that energy and you use it to construct protein muscle mass, right? Now, protein tissue, 1 gram of protein is about 4 grams of energy, right? Mm-hmm. But the way that protein is stored is for every gram of muscle tissue, you have 3 to 4 grams of water, right? Because for various reasons. One, because of glycogen that gets stored in the muscle, and then water has to, every 1 gram of glycogen has to be like compensated by 1 gram of water. I might not have the math 100% right, but essentially muscle, basically like 1 gram of muscle tissue versus fat tissue ends up taking about 4 times the amount of space. So technically, if you think about it, you could be in a calorie deficit. You could actually be eating less calories and gain weight.
Right. So you're actually
pulling water, but it's pulling into the muscle and actually releasing fat. So you're losing the fat. That energy is going back. It's being used with amino acids to build muscle, and then pulling in water at the same time. So technically, you could actually go up in the scale. You could be at a calorie deficit. So this is why also a solid like slam dunk article or reason why not to look at the weight on a scale to determine whether you're making progress on a diet, because when you're making the best progress that's possible, which is fat loss plus muscle gain, you may actually go up in weight and be at a calorie deficit. It's possible, and
it's
some of that
very
has
likely
to be
if you're first starting out any exercise program.
Right, and people do. I've never heard anyone talk about what I just said. Like I've never of all this stuff, because it's so rare. Especially in a trained athlete. Now, in a beginner, right, this may occur, but I've been training for a long time, and I'm getting these results. So, like, I can't even imagine what someone who's untrained kind of results that they could get. So, I don't know. I mean, like, this is the most effective thing that I've ever done. So, we'll see what happens. But, I'm going to have to cut the experiment short, as I'm going to be traveling and then going to China, but hopefully I'll have hit enough, of it to have enough of an impact to be able to put the program together. But as far as the deficit, it's hard to know because I'm running 10 miles 4 times a week. So when you run for me, running 10 miles burns about 2,000 calories. So I don't know, like, am I at a deficit? Well, when I run 10 miles, I'm probably on that day, my total calorie expenditure is probably like 4,000 to 5,000 calories, somewhere in there.
Right.
And when I lift, I'm lifting for about an hour and a half. So on those days, it's probably
it's
like
hard to know what your actual.
Yeah, but I'm cycling carbs essentially on the lower carb days, I should be at a deficit.
So and you're not? Are you tracking calories, or are you just doing? You've done this so long that you kind of just.
Here's the thing. If you saw what I was eating, you'd be like, what the hell, John? Because on Wednesday I had birthday cake. Ice cream cake, right? That was so before my workout, right? So this is crazy because it's all about timing, right? This is the whole reason why this works is all about timing. At first I was a little skeptical about timing, but now that I'm like applying this, it's insane. So like before I go to work out, like today, what I will do is I will have a protein bar that is full of sugar, a 400 calorie protein bar.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will have with that, let me see. Oh yeah. So I just take that and then maybe like something else, like a piece of bread or something, and get some more sugar or carbs in there. And then I will take a shaker bottle and I will put a scoop of protein in there, and I'll put Gatorade, not low calorie Gatorade, just sugar ass Gatorade in there, right? And then creatine, and then mix that up. And then while I'm working out, lifting for the hour and a half, I'm sipping on this concoction and getting just sugar and protein to the muscles. And then afterwards, after the workout, then I will like go and eat like a burrito or anything that has carbs in it and some protein, or birthday cake or whatever it is, right? That kind of junk.
This is probably the first thing that I've heard about this whole diet that makes me think I can sell it.
And then on the no carb days, like yesterday was a no carb day or low carb day, I had sushi. They have protein sushi where it doesn't have any rice in it, right? Okay. So I went and picked up sushi, and then here, you want to know what I had for dessert yesterday? I had a tub of cream cheese. I took a tub of cream cheese. No, hold on. I took a tub of cream cheese, right? I dumped it into a bowl.
Butter.
I dumped the tub of cream cheese into a bowl, and then I added a little bit of heavy cream, okay, and then I added like 6 packets of Splenda, and then 2 scoops of peanut butter, and I mixed that all up, and it's basically you know what that is? That is cheesecake, baby. That is cheesecake. It is delicious. So I basically ate cheesecake, right? And here I am, 6-pack abs, doing this diet. So it's kind of, but it's all about timing and composition, and because essentially what I'm doing is what I'm essentially doing is this. It's like when I'm doing the low carb stuff for that day and I'm running, I'm pulling I'm glycogen depleting myself, basically. Like you have about 500 grams of glycogen that you can store in your liver and your muscles, and most of that is disappearing. And so, and I'm burning fat during the day, right? I'm also taking yohimbine, which helps which basically turns on alpha-2 receptors or blocks the alpha receptors, which causes stubborn fat areas to mobilize fat more effectively. But essentially during that time I'm depleting glycogen, and then so right before when I go to the gym, right? And here's the other thing is like what people don't understand with timing is that insulin, if you have any amount of insulin in your bloodstream, you cannot burn fat. It's shut off. Body shut off. So anytime you eat anything, you get an insulin spike. You bring insulin into your system. That's how you don't die from sugar in your blood. That's why diabetics do have problems. So by fasting all day long, right, and then having a very small window that I have any kind of insulin, I have fat burning going on the whole time. Right, and so then if you think about it, then the very next day, like today, right, I haven't eaten carbs or I've eaten a very small amount of carbs it'll be like close to 48 hours. When I'm about to go to the gym and I eat that protein bar that has a bunch of sugar in it and drink that Gatorade, right, insulin just jacks up. I'm super insulin sensitive. My body's like, insulin, right? But then I'm lifting weights, right? And so what ends up happening is you have insulin receptors on fat cells and muscle cells, and they turn on and off at different times. And when you're lifting weights, when your body's using up glycogen stores or they're gone, those insulin receptors on the muscle cells turn on. And so all of that sugar, all that junk I'm eating is going boom, right into muscles. So I'm actually gaining and building muscle as I'm replenishing that glycogen store. And then by the time I'm done eating and I'm done working out and done eating carbs, and because I have that small window and I'm fasting again, all of that, like the dam opened up and it was like sugar, and it all went into muscles, and then now anything else that I eat or any other food that gets processed, which I'm fasting at that time, doesn't go to fat cells because there's nowhere. So it never went back into the fat stores. So, and that process is repeating, every other day. So that's why it works. And now I've just given it away. But yeah.
Well, that's typically what you can do that with fitness. Like you can actually kind of give away the whole thing, and people still will buy it for the program.
Yeah.
So just for the workout program.
But yeah, there's a ton of stuff. Like I said, I mean, I've applied every single trick that I know, every single bit of science that I know about how meal timing and insulin sensitivity and alpha and beta fat cells.
I'm looking forward. Like I'm going to try this, and I'm going to pork up.
Totally.
I just see it
like
coming.
400 pounds next week.
Yeah, I see it coming. I'm going to have to be. I'll be Jared before the Subway diet.
It's funny because I step on the scale, right? Like yesterday I stepped on the scale and it gave me a weight of 214.7 pounds and a body fat percentage of 7.52%. So I was like, and that was after eating the cake on Wednesday, right? So, after eating the cake on Wednesday and eating a big ass burrito and stuff, I was like, okay, well, you can't win every day, all right, this is kind of screw up day. So I wake up, I get up on the scale, and I'm like, oh shit, 214.7. Man, I really overdid it. And then I look at the body fat percentage, and it's like 7.52. I'm like, holy crap, it went down? It went down from 8.8% to 7.52 in a day after eating junk? This is insane. I didn't even expect it to work this good. I mean, obviously that reading is slightly off because of just stomach contents, but still, it didn't go up, and then the next day it's even lower than what today it's lower than what it was on Wednesday. So
yeah,
it's pretty crazy. I would if someone were giving me these results, I'd be like, you're full of shit. You're doing steroids. You're there's something going on here, but I assure you, there is no steroids. So there we go. Every EntreProgrammer ends with a pitch for my product.
You're definitely gonna have to. I definitely want the human achievable version of this.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it does definitely help. I'm not gonna lie. It helps that I'm running 40 miles a week. That certainly helps. But you don't have to You just have to scale down. And you still the principles are the same.
That in and of itself is like. Go ahead, Derick.
I was just going to say, exercise is not for weight management. Exercise is for muscles and cardiovascular and things like that. Weight management and body fat, that's all diet.
It's to some degree. Well,
if you're burning 2,000, if you run 10 miles and burn 2,000 calories, that helps. Right now, I'm losing weight, and I've lost about close to 20 pounds. About 18 pounds, and most of that's just because I use my treadmill for 2 hours.
The one and only thing that makes that 10-mile, 2,000 calorie help is your diet.
Yes.
Because if you go and eat 5,000 calories that day,
right,
that 10 miles ain't gonna do shit for you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Most people think, oh, I'll go for a 20-minute walk, and a 20-minute walk burns about 100 calories. Yeah. And that's not even a cookie.
Yep.
No. Yeah, exactly. So for most people, if you're just okay, just weight loss, need to lose weight, 90% of it's going to come from diet. But if you're trying to gain muscle, or you're trying to strategically lose weight, or you're at a low body fat percentage and you're trying to get lower, or you're trying to improve your aesthetic appearance overall, then it starts to become a little bit different. And it also depends on how much cardio, because most people don't do enough cardio to actually move the needle enough that it makes a difference. Because like you said, if you go and you're oh, well, I jogged for 15 minutes or I walked for half an hour, and you've burned 200 or 300 calories, and then you're more hungry, so you eat 500 or 600 calories, which is most people do, right? That's not going to have much of an impact. But if you run for an hour and 40 minutes straight, and go 10 miles, and you burn 2,000 calories, yeah, you might be a little bit more hungry, but 2,000 calories, now you're making a big dent.
Right.
And the other thing about it is, someone had asked me on my YouTube channel, because I did this low carb meal, and they're like, well, what if you're at a calorie deficit and you're eating in ketosis, eating keto, eating low carb, isn't it going to be the same thing? Aren't you going to lose the same amount of weight? And the answer is yes. You will lose the same amount of weight because thermodynamics, right? You're like if you're at a deficit, you're at a deficit. But here's the question: what kind of weight will you lose?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you'll lose weight. Like you'll burn calories, the same amount of calories. But guess what? If you are at a low body fat and you're eating high carb and you're at a deficit, more of the weight that you will lose will be protein tissue, muscle, whereas if you're at a low carb or doing kind of the meal timing things that I'm doing, or doing cardio, this is where cardio makes a big difference, is cardio on a fasted state, when you don't have insulin in your body, it is working on lipolysis, is breaking down fat tissue, fat stores, and using that for energy. And that's the key difference, is like, deficit is deficit, but when you have muscle already, or you're trying to not lose muscle, or you're at a low body fat where you're more inclined to lose muscle, the composition and the timing makes a huge difference, and that determines what you lose. Because you could lose a pound, and if 90% of that's muscle and 10% is fat, you're worse than when you started. But if you lose a pound and 90% is fat and 10% is protein, or you lose a pound and it's 100% fat and you actually gained muscle during that process, that's a drastic difference. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I think a lot of people confuse when they calorie, or they say, well, it's 90% diet. I sort of agree, but it's about how the composition is of the loss or gain. So
yes,
it's fun. It's interesting, but
I will probably want to try this. I'm gonna say probably like September timeframe, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'll have to just I'm gonna have to make like a pretty serious mental commitment, like at least probably like I'm thinking like 3 months, and I'm just gonna lock on it because I'm gonna have to. The thing for me is what I find is that I have to pick other things that I'm going to let slide a little bit.
Exactly. Yep.
Because it takes so much focus for me, so.
You can only have like one major project at a time, and then like one secondary. Project in your life, otherwise like you just can't do it. So but yeah, I'm shocked by the results I'm getting. So
sweet.
I had something else I was going to say about I don't remember what it was now. Too much talk about food is making me hungry.
Yeah, me too.
I did go with only one major meal yesterday. I had some snacks after late night last night, but one major meal yesterday. And I'm probably going to skip lunch today. I had a breakfast of brisket tacos, brisket, cheese, and tortilla.
Brisket tacos? Man, that's what I want for breakfast.
They're so good, man. There's this place around the corner, it's about a mile away from my house, called Fuego, and I walk in there, and the entire restaurant knows, oh, he wants 2 brisket and cheddar tacos and a drink. That's like the only thing I ever order there, and it's so freaking good. But yeah, so that was my breakfast today. I'm probably gonna skip lunch. I'll see if I can skip dinner, but I don't know if I can. I'm trying to build my way back up to the 1 meal a day thing, and trying to skip at least 1 meal a day right now, and eventually get back to 2.
The easiest thing is to do the dinners. It's hard.
I agree. After I spent that 45 days, that was the easiest thing overall.
Breakfast is the most fun to eat, but
yes,
but it sucks going to bed on an empty stomach after not eating all day long.
Well, and I find that when I've actually almost never eaten breakfast since I was, as long as I can remember, since I went to college anyway, and I find that when I do, I'm like starving by lunchtime.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm less hungry now than I would be if I'd eaten. I would have been hungrier at 10 o'clock if I'd eaten when I woke up than I am right now. So.
Yep.
It's funny. Someone actually sent me this video from Simple Programmer Audience on fasting, and this guy did this scientific study, and he was actually using The Biggest Loser, like that data about like metabolic rate changes, and he was basically saying like you know, the whole thing, like his whole thing came down to this. It's like, yeah, I could summarize his whole talk as basically like this. Look, studies have shown that prolonged fasting, even for long periods of time, does not result in any appreciable difference in muscle loss. And not eating is the best way to lose weight. So forget all the crazy shit and all, like, if you just want to lose weight, don't eat.
Yep.
He's like, you can fast for 7 days. You know, it's hard. He said it's, I'm not gonna say it's not like mentally difficult. Yeah, but he was basically like, here's the chart, here's the evidence, here's someone that fasted for like, you know, for a week, and I look at muscle composition, like protein, and he measures it, and he's like, there's no such thing as starvation mode. It doesn't happen until like you're in a death camp for like 60 days and you don't have muscle, or, you know, it's like you don't have any fat source left, and then it's like the muscle gets. And he went through the whole like scientific, like, well, it doesn't make sense for caveman to like your body to say, oh, I haven't eaten in 72 hours. I guess I don't need that muscle. Better break that down. So, you know, like, that's some worthless stuff. It's like, no, you need to kill and eat, dude. We're gonna raise your adrenaline, and you better use those muscles. So, I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, so it comes down to the whole, like, you know, just fasting works. Like, at first it started off like this 1 meal a day thing was crazy, but now it's like, it just makes sense.
So now that we've wrapped up our Get Up an EntreProgrammer episode,
shall we do our thoughts for the?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with don't bite off more than you can chew. I guess that would be the phrase. You know, hiring too many people all at once sounds like a great idea because it's so dang easy to just get people on the team, but then you have to manage them, and that takes time, and to build up the process and the trust and everything else, and it's stressful, to say the least. I now have a lot of projects on my plate because I decided to put them all on my plate, and I shouldn't have.
Well, at least you don't have to pay them.
Well, there's. I suppose if I don't want them to do the work, I wouldn't have to. Of course, I'm not paying Josh, so I demand a refund, Josh. Give me my money back.
I think I'll go with, I think, like, a lot of times you're not using, it's really easy to go looking for more when you're not using what you have.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, I've been thinking about that this week. Like, I finally have gotten all the tracking more or less working on Simple Programmer, and I feel like I have a decent idea of what our conversion rates are, and I'm realizing that, like, every month our overall conversion rate on, like, how to market yourself is like 0.03%. So that, like, 0.03% of people that come to the site buy. I'm like, there's probably some room for improvement there, right? I mean, we get like 150,000 visits to the site, and we're selling, like, you know, 20 or 30 copies of that program. Like, there's a lot of room to improve there. So that's where I got the idea to do this products menu. I'm like, how can I get more of that traffic? How can I, you know, what things can I do to funnel more of that traffic to the places where we need it to go? And so, yeah, there's just like an interesting way to, like, assume that you're underutilizing what you have and look for the weak points.
Let's see. So I think mine this week be that, like, just remember the phrase, this too shall pass, like, because everything passes, right?
I hate that phrase.
and the reason why I say that is because, like, you know, I did a video this week too, because it's like, this week was a tough week for me, just like mentally, like emotionally, like I just, like, I was feeling kind of depressed. I was like, sort of like, oh man, like, I'm running and I'm like, oh, do I really? I hate running now. Like you know, it's like, yeah, it's like when you're like, oh man, you're doing like this 10-mile run. You're like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I doing all this stuff? Like I should just be playing video games or something. Like, why? And I'm writing, or I've got all these talks, and I'm stressed out, and I'm like, why am I putting myself through this? Like, this is like, you already made it, John. Like, you could just like live whatever kind of life you want. Like, why are you doing this? And that's like the bad talk, because it's like, this is a temporary state, right? It's like, okay, my legs hurt because I'm running, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I've been busting ass, wake up in the morning, write, go and work all day, and then go and work out for 2 hours, and it's like you forget why you're doing things, and that those feelings, that what you're feeling in that moment will pass, and like getting past that is where greatness lies. It's like, it's easy to forget that stuff, right? It's like, it's the whole working without motivation. It's like that you just have to. Sometimes the best thing that you can do is just hold on to, like, don't stop what you're doing, and just realize that it's going to pass. That cloud is going to pass. And so many people don't do that. They give up. They like change direction. They make stupid decisions. And I was like, no, John, you're just going to push through this shit. Like, you're going to go and you're going to get it done, and watch what's going to happen, right? Because you've been here 500 times before, and it always passed. You always got through it. You always like suddenly got motivation back, or felt good again, and like, or and remember why you're doing this. And so, I don't know. For me, like that, just like to think of that, I guess, it's, remember, this too shall pass. Everything passes, and then also like, why are you doing, like, when you're at that point, like that breaking point, that's when you're the closest to greatness. That's when like big things are going to happen, and you've got to be able to make that. It's like the test that life throws at you all the time, right? And we've been to this point. We've all been to this point where we're at that breaking point, that edge, and somehow we got through it and we kept going. And we've also been at that breaking point where we haven't, where we've given up and we've just and it's rolled down the hill, and and it's been shit. But we know that when we push through there and we make it, and that cloud eventually passes, that if we are still standing at the end of that, something awesome happens. We change forever in some way, or we produce something, or some level of achievement. We hit the next level, and you keep on getting tested and tried until you are ready to progress to that next level. And it's when you realize that you're just going to put your feet down and you're going to stick it through, and rain, shine, whatever happens, you're there. And so I don't know. It's like 500 thoughts, but that's what I got.
I still hate that phrase. It's just, I completely, 100% agree with everything you said. I just hate that phrase.
Fine, everything dies. There's a season for it all. We'll rephrase it. All right, guys.
Cool. All right.
All right. See you next week. Yeah.
Wanna start a business, but you just know how to code? Listen to John, Josh, and Derick as we figure it out. We are the EntreProgrammers, and we'll teach you straight